I have a microphone and I hope the mic is working. I'm also going to record this as a little podcast type soundtrack for my Patreon, which I am starting so that you can just have things available. Hi, welcome. I'm not doing this the way I want to. Hello, Jessica. Can you everybody hear me okay? I'm thinking with all the likes. Thank you so much. I'm happy that you're here. Check it out. Sometimes I'm an artist of the sound variety. Today I'm going to be an artist of the sound variety. I have classical training. This is to be somewhat playfully chaotic, okay? So chaos as in the actual state of the universe. Not necessarily chaos as in like a storm. But you know, we never really know for sure what's gonna happen at any time other than something. Does that sound okay? Start to kind of settle here onto the surface that you're on. Notice if it's hard, if it's soft. Are you sitting upright? Are you lying down? Upright for now, nice. It does make for nice tea time. It makes for good gardening as well. Just to be, just to exist as you are. And all the tones together make more tones, different tones. And those differences, those frequencies, the differences are what make their way to us, is what some folks would say. Pink, yellow, orange. Nice. So that's somebody sharing their synesthesia through color. These kinds of bowls for neurodivergent humans, for humans who experience trauma, who have brain differences, learning differences, lived experience differences. This can be very soothing, very settling. It could also not have that effect. If it doesn't have that effect, I would encourage you to. My body likes the metal as well better. But this is nice. One sounds more harmonious, one of these bowls, or the metal. These are not as finely tuned as my crystal. In part because of the nature of the bowls, also gardening. Yeah, water your plants. Water you as well. Somewhat different gardening than I was thinking, but yeah. I had a little garden coming a couple hours ago, so I could just be enjoying myself with you. I like the tones that are close together. They sound rich to me. They sound, I'm like, oh, what's that? I get really curious. And of course, certain frequencies have certain meanings. You think it's the term. Creates kind of a field. So you have a whole spatial experience. That's okay. I'm happy you're here, Sandy. Encourage you to share and like the live so that you give me more reach, which will help me earn money. We like that. Why do I have moving rainbows in my apartment? My apartment is filled with rainbows. Oh yeah, probably screensaver. Very much. All right, let's use a bowl for breathing. And the most important thing about breath work is that the breathing is comfortable for you. Not that you're following somebody else. So the first thing is to remember that you have a body. Yeah, it's a screensaver. And you can remember you have a body by feeling onto the surface that you're on. So it might be a chair, it might be the floor. and notice that you are on something. There's a connection between you and the surface. So our thoughts might exist in space. We exist on a surface. That can be very helpful for humans who experience trauma and certain neurodivergencies to remember that we exist on. And so now that you exist on, take a couple breaths in through your nose and out of your mouth. Just nice and easy. They're like sighs at the end of the day. You might find your eyes closed. You might find that you're moving a little bit. And as you're breathing here comfortably, swaying maybe. Like soothing a baby. Our inner child in the system I'm in this system from China, the inner child resides on the star bridge in our pericardium, in the home of the heart. You can contemplate your inner child as the part of you that just grows in time. And the wonderful thing about Chinese medicine and Chinese mysticism and Chinese alchemy, is I have experienced it directly, is there's room for every experience. In fact, it expects and accepts uniqueness in the lived experience. So it's a very curious functions that our body does on its own. Breathing is often the most available for us to override, for us to take control of. Breathing in through your nose and out of your mouth. Thank you for hanging lights. Feel something in your body, like not even emotions, sensations. Grounded. I like the feeling of ground that gives me a sense of weight. That I'm not just tethered, that I'm there. You can feel it in your chest, vibrating in your feet and the ditch in your elbows. Yes. What a fast way to somatic, right? Direct line right into the soma. Like floating. Resonating from your solar plexus to the crown. Just slowing and deepening your breathing. Nice. I find often the crystal bowls are activating for folks. It's very like, oh, I need to be doing, and the metal seems to be very settling. And they're just different. Nice basic breath in through your nose and out of your mouth. Helping your blood flow. Nice. It's also helping your lymph. Our lymph fluid only moves when we help it move. Like making a centrifugal generator in your frontal lobe and midbrain. Woo! That's hardcore. I love what this does to the sensory motor experience. This sound, these sounds in particular. They're very ground, like literally grounding, because these are low frequencies or long wave frequencies. Hertz is how we would measure sound frequencies. It's down a little so we can talk some. Relaxing, warmth on your nose. Let's try some other sounds and see how those feel. I have a lovely rain drum that mimics water. This can be a little bit too treble clef for folks. This can be a little bit high register, so we'll see how it is for you. But you can see it has beads in it. So when I move it, it creates like a wave. On this one. Watch how they move. ASMR. Arms heavy. These tuning forks are tuned to specific hertz frequencies, and they sound amazing. Can you hear that? It's an A. So put the ball on it, and then you can press. It's so amazing for lymph. Very subtle. Want to get into tuning forks? Thank you for a badge. Oh, thank you for the gift. Think you would vibrate off the wall? Maybe. My cats have vibrated out of the room. So I just encourage you to contemplate a phrase like raise the vibration as not only arbitrary, but ridiculous. Raise the vibration from what to what? If you're hyper or aroused, you're vibing too high, gotta bring it down. All these ascension narratives, they don't have us grounded literally on a surface, on the planet. It's all very like, oh, we're just gonna raise and ascend. Never fully understood. It's one of those things people say, but then it turns into a kind of, it implies a progression that has to do with gain as opposed to growth. And I think it's useful to contemplate because how we consume something like media or medicine or an idea influences how we experience it. R-A-Z-E, not raise, R-A-I-S-E, nice. Around what the solfeggio frequencies mean, the hertz frequencies of the solfeggio scale, they have been assigned. And it's wonderful. And they still have been assigned. So how you experience your root chakra may or may not be middle C. Mine is low E. That's my root. I find it all the way down there. Not all the way up there. Like a low. Imagine like you extend to where you can hear. Like that's how wide and big you are. This changes the experience of hypervigilance. It can temper that a little bit, because the hypervigilance is just very like, whoa. And if we just calm, cool, not calm down, behave correct, literally just give the waves a place to go. And it happens like that with trauma and stress, where sometimes we have an experience and we don't all the way exhale, or stuff gets stuck in the body. This is where Bessel van der Kolk believes that the body keeps the score. Our body is the score. So I just laugh because keeps the score. How do I read this score? All these things happen to the body mind. We're having a whole experience as a human, not just the experience of stress and trauma. And if your brain is a certain way, if you are autistic, if you have a schizophrenia diagnosis, if you are borderline, however that is, well, are you going to be able to recover and end up normal or typical? Or is recovery as much about figuring out, finding out, and curiously exploring what's possible and what's reasonable, and then looking to make accommodations? And I know for sure that is not possible for all of us. I know that. Many of us never get accommodated. I encourage you to pretend like it's possible when you're here. And I will tell you, the old folks across the street love this stuff as much as my friend who was a kid. So back to the breath, the sense of bum, feeling onto the surface that you're on, and if your little sits bones, if you can feel a little bit of connection onto the surface, like a plug, then your spine is free to move. Just conceptually. And so as you're breathing here in through your nose and out of your mouth, you're still connected on, breathing in and through the body. And then we have an extra added benefit of the Shen, S-H-E-N, which in the system of Taoist alchemy and invasive Chinese medicine, they're the entities that do the work. They're the entities that animate things. They're the entities that give us a way to personify and relate to an archetype, as well as a literal organ, as well as a feeling. It's incredible. Sometimes I think about Shen like notes on a page, like notes on a page of music, and then when I play the music, the Shen are the notes, the sounds that I can hear. When you go to the acupuncturist, Shen literally do the labor of Chinese medicine. So they go out and communicate through to all of your organs, through the meridians, or these channels of energy that run through the body. Show you so you can have a visual. This is Dr. Vika Corey. She's a real life neuroscientist who I'm friends with, used to live with. Do you see how it looks like computers or like a subway map? I put the lines on it, but this is the doll that your Chinese medicine doctor uses. This is a dimensional human. This human theoretically could just exist on the planet without already being on a table. And so these meridians, they become active when the umbilical cord is cut. When the umbilical cord is cut, on the outside turns into, it's called the bagua, and that, oh, hello, Kitty. And that is the tool that your feng shui human uses to determine the placement of furniture. On the inside, it becomes our fascia, our connective tissue, our immune system, our organs, our senses, our brain, all of that when the cord is cut. Sir, Norman would like you to know he needs attention. Hi, Emily, thanks for following. I am curious what you would like to learn more about. In that I am an encyclopedia right now, so if I try to transfer all the knowledge before my recurrence, it might not work so well. It'll be a little too chaotic. I'm doing okay, thank you. Much better than yesterday. Yesterday was like day 3 of pain. It broke overnight. Oh, thank you for the roses. One of the ways I like to use my bowls, if you ever want to join the club, like for real, this is all you have to do. Right on the head. Oh. It is so cool. It goes in your ears. Wow, 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 wow. It's my yoga today. So sound is such an important experience because even if you can't hear, we can feel the vibrations. Hi, Mac Jack. Get a hand pan. I think I have one here. You should see my cat. Can you see him? Norman. There he is for all of us. Getting in the way. That's usually where my desktop computer is. It's right next to me because I'm recording. He's a jerk. He's an asshole. We are here for him. I am here for him. He's not vibing. No, he wants to go see his boyfriend Winston. They're both infatuated with neighbor cat. But cats on either side. They're worse than red tabbies. I've never owned a tuxedo. I've never cared for a tuxedo. I woke up the other day, Sandy Cheeks. I woke up, I looked down, he was staring up at me like he just looked really disappointed. And I thought, oh no. And he also eats me, okay? He tries to eat me. He eats my flesh. He does a little chomp chomp. But he loves the sound. My other cat, Darla, prefers not to be around it. Norman especially loves, he's been plotting. Well, I have to tell you, Billy J, if not for Norman and Darla, I probably would not be here. Because I, like so many humans who experience immune system weirdness. Hi, feral introvert. I don't leave my house all that often. And when I do, I'm not like connecting with the world. So this is such a nice way to connect. And I'm curious what you want to learn about. Oh, you have 2 kitty cat rescues. I'm wanting to share how my extracurricular sexy fun time activities have helped me in my experience of breast cancer, my experience of doctors, my experience of power dynamics. You have bells. Yay! Oh, I love that you have bells. I want to get those, the sheets of metal, doctor issues, diagnoses, the experience of, check your posts. Trauma, complex trauma in particular. I honestly believe 100% of the planet. Thank you. I have, this is an 18-inch low E. Recovering and doctor visits give you anxiety and possible trauma. You know, my body is in a trauma response every time I go to a doctor's office, no matter how friendly the doctor is. My body just goes, So the way the Taoist alchemy approaches something like trauma or complex trauma, as I understand it, would be through the lens of psycho-emotional pain and the 8 extraordinary vessels. And the 8 extraordinary vessels are the meridians that protect us when we're in vitro. Health insurance companies on palliative care at 32. That's hardcore. That is hardcore. Big energy? Uh-oh. What's the big energy? Try another. Actually, let me show you something you can do for trauma in particular. This is something that can help bring on the relaxation response in your body. And you don't have to change what you're doing or how you're situated to try it. Just let your ear fall to one shoulder, and you can see in camera how I'm facing you head on. I'm going to send my eyes up and over. And at some point, I will yawn. This is getting a helical, it's like a spiral action happening. And then the other way. So just a nice little, and looking up and back. Relax. It might take longer on one side or the other. Nice and simple, easy for the vagus nerve. The group sounds like we all need some. You've done that and it helps. Something that can occur often when we're aware of trauma or stress is there's a kind of holding that happens, especially if you're somewhere around people or you need to finish something or get something done. Good. I'm getting on right now. So if you can't move and jump and stim, which is kind of the same idea as shaking in a way, right? We might just have to do it with breathing and connecting onto the planet. So one of the effects that complex trauma can have, isolate for a couple of years. I've been isolated for 4. The longing, the hunger for like touch and connection that feels real and safe for humans who've been isolated. I don't know about you, I feel it. Like some days I really, really feel it. The concept of co-regulating for many humans now is unreasonable. Like if there are tons of people in my building, but I live in an apartment right by myself. And as an example, the last couple of days I've been in too much pain to move much. Today I woke up feeling great. The air quality is so bad I can't leave my house. So with trauma comes changes to the brain. The amygdala grows. Our amygdala is very involved in our stress response. Humidity was terrible yesterday. It affects our tissues. It affects the turgidity of our tissues, the tissue turgidity. Hypermobile tissues are lax. They need turgidity. Kind of like a hypermobile peen. What is ooh? Tell me. Thank you for all the likes and everything. Brain massage, yes, very much. I contemplate the space between the brain and the skull. There's a little cushion in there. Very much about the space between. I am. Some people call it negative space. It's only negative if I'm looking at it. Otherwise, it's just space. with childhood trauma, with chronic trauma, with complex trauma, the trauma response is acute. It's, even if it's constant, it's an acute response. But chronic trauma is like complex trauma is like chronic illness. It's part of the fabric of the experience. It's not just like a geyser going off or being in a car accident, right? It's over time. And what's traumatizing for you might not be traumatizing for someone else. So especially for young humans trying to understand the world, if you're in a situation where your lived experience is discounted, I was constantly told that what I was experiencing wasn't true. Oh, Katie, nobody, oh, hips don't do that. Oh, Katie, oh. Constantly. That by the time I was 50 and figured out that I am indeed autistic. I wrote my first report on autism as a middle school human, but nobody picked up on maybe he's autistic. Wow, so many things make sense, but I still have the lifetime of experience. It is damaging. So is the concept of an attachment wound, I believe. And I'm just saying, like, a lot of the language and the rhetoric that we hear as normal is not, it's marketing. You don't get an attachment wound diagnosis, as an example. Attachment wound is a concept. So the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual that doctors here in the US use, those diagnoses are the ones that get propagated into the healthcare system. Persistent drive for autonomy, or something, yes. PDA, it's considered a profile of neurodivergence. It's sometimes called something else, and PDA has to do with perceived threat when criticized. Pathological demand avoidance is the other word. So one explanation I heard from a therapist I thought was really great is it's pathological in that, like, if I don't urinate for 6 hours because I don't want to get up, I might be harming my urinary. No, it's not in there. No. And I would imagine that PDA is mostly where the white humans are labeled. Otherwise, it's antisocial. We have a lot of skinny white yoga, chick, and also white lady therapy happening. And for folks who are chronically traumatized or are neurodivergent, are autistic, your set point, too many demands for neurodivergent. Well, in the United States, we're not set up for healthcare, so we're very much not set up for disability. But schizophrenia and autism used to be together in the DSM. And until my lifetime, I'm a Gen X. And so there's still racial differences in how humans are diagnosed. There are also differences in access, what people can access. Hi, Shipley. I'm doing great. Welcome. We're chatting. Trauma or PDA? Fighting SSDI denial. Yeah. I do not know. That's a behavior trait that is a recent label. There are traits that are passed down epigenetically. So epigenetics is what happens when the expression of genes change, but the genes themselves don't change. It's often measured through maternal stress. In the Taoist pantheon, the genetics occurs in the realm of Jing, or through the father. Epigenetics occurs through the realm of Shen, or the mother. The teacher you work for has a son with schizoaffective disorder. I've worked with adults with schizoaffective experiences. You know, there's a lot of uniqueness in how the sensory motor reality occurs with some of these different steady states. If your steady state is schizophrenia, steady state is autism, steady states that are synesthetic. I have tactile synesthesia, meaning I feel things that I need to remember. My body is like, I store things all over my body to remember them. Well, it's cool, except for the part where people don't believe me as a child. You know, you have to sing everything to remember. Singing is so good. Humming. Let's hum for a little bit. So you have something called a xiphoid process. And it is like underneath your sternum and above your belly button. So it's in between your ribs here. You can just kind of bring a little gentle. A split from reality is hard to quantify. Well, also, what's real? Reality is wishy-washy. So hallucinations, hallucinations are very frightening for people who experience them. They can be disruptive. Anybody with a diagnosis like schizoaffective disorder, autism, all have trauma anyway, right? So trauma and trait, which is trauma, which is trait, can we separate them? Does it matter? All questions I don't know for sure. But fascinating to contemplate. The contemplation, instead of a schizophrenia, they regard it as shaman. In some traditions, yes. I don't know that a country would have that, or mediums. Lao Tzu was probably schizophrenic or autistic, if he existed. He's the philosopher who wrote the Tao Te Ching, which is the book of Taoism. It's a very, I'm gonna get it to you right now. Where is he? Where is Lao Tzu? please. This is the best translation. The Penguin Classics, at least based on the scholars that I know and the scholarship I have access to. This is my teaching note, but it's the Tao Te Ching, Taoteaching, and it's very weird. So it has stanzas in it like, oh, here we go. Here's something about the shaman. Exterminate the sage, discard the wise, and the people will benefit 100-fold. Exterminate benevolence, discard rectitude, and people will again be filial. Exterminate ingenuity, discard profit, and there will be no more thieves and bandits. These three, being false adornments, are not enough, and the people must have something to which they can attach themselves. Exhibit the unendured and embrace the uncarved block. Have as little thought of self and a few desires as possible. Which is weird for a Westerner. Westerner meaning a human attuned to the medical model or to the psychology model where we have a self. This puts us in soma first. And self also is the idea of. So ego is not a thing, at least in the literature. The first book of the Tao Te Ching, the first 40 or so stanzas are very much about like how a human would be in relationship to the world. So the way is empty, yet use will not drain it. Deep like the ancestor of the myriad creatures, blunt the sharpness, untangle the knots, soften the glare. Let your wheels move along only old ruts. Darkly visible, it only seems as if it were there. I know not whose son it is. It images the forefather of God. All discontent is based on desire. That sounds very Buddhist. Attachment. I like the Buddhist concept of attachment better than the Western psychology concept of attachment, where Buddhist attachment, as I was taught, has to do with grasping. It's trying to grasp onto things. Or Book 2 of the Tao Te Ching is very much about how one human might govern or lead other humans. So it says things like, the people are hungry. It's because those in authority eat up too much in taxes. That the people are hungry, the people are difficult to govern. It's because those in authority are too fond of action that the people are difficult to govern. The people treat death lightly. It's because people are set too much store by life that they treat death lightly. It is just because one has no use for life that one is wiser than the man who values life. Even seeking is desire. So Taoism might contemplate something like that differently. It's going to be more like, well, am I balanced in it? Is it bringing balance? Is it growing? I mean, you would be asking questions about the effect that it has, not just that initial impact. So there's a lot of the three main virtues are humility, compassion, and moderation. So we send compassion all the way down to the belly, to Jing. Moderation occurs through the heart. So that has to do with the resources that we can grow, the resources that we borrow from other people, or money, or commerce. And then the lightest energy is the energy in the head. It's our Shen. And that's the spirit of us. Also, Taoism was a response to Buddhism and Confucianism. So Taoism is a response to high control governing. They were like, I don't think so. We don't want to pay all those taxes. I shouldn't have to have 7 children to send 1 child. Do I believe there is Buddhist or Hindu influence in Abrahamic religions? I am not that kind of a scholar. It would surprise me if there's not. There's so many parallels in a lot of the myths and the stories. But Taoism says the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. So Taoism tells us very clearly, don't believe everything you read. Romans and Egyptians had huge influence. Well, Egypt, yeah, that would be a different scholar. I may have known that at one point, but not right now. Okay, but I can't complete the verification. Hello. Of my live. Thank you. Historically, the men, there's this whole myth of, it's not really a myth because I did experience it, the alchemical birth. If you're familiar with Carl Jung, Secret of the Golden Flower, it's not a secret. You just have to not be looking for it. I know that the Egyptians, I feel like the Egyptians knew as much about the brain as the Chinese, because the Chinese understand pyramid in a similar way to the Egyptians if you map it to the brain. Alternative readings of the Bible. Nice. So Taoism is always inviting contemplation of the media itself, which would, in your case, be the phone or the screen that you're looking at, to contemplate like, oh, I might not actually be seeing Katie the way she is. You're seeing me just like I was in a mirror, like you're my bathroom mirror. You're not seeing me as though we would be sitting in a room together. Humans had a grasp way before, I think humans had a grasp long before. It's when we started transporting humans across the planet as you know, resources and labor. That's where it got messed up. And also just the whole concept of sanity itself is Western medical model. Thanks, Freud. Thanks, Carl Jung. Carl Jung stole the same alchemy that I'm in and convinced everybody that the shadow is real. He said, oh, women couldn't do that alchemy. The Chinese don't understand when the alchemy is very specifically to experience the fullness of pregnancy. There's a whole set of practices that one would do to cultivate a spiritual birth. Mine was just being rewarded for being a very good student for decades. It was about a year ago. practice of inner alchemy, internal alchemy. Sounds like, what are the 3 inner essentials? The first is the great abysmal pond. The second, that's this down here. The second is the crimson palace, and the third is the door of the earth. These terms refer to the upper, middle, and lower cinnabar field. So the upper cinnabar field is the crystal palace and other teachings. The middle cinnabar field, that's where our thymus, our inner child, reside. And the lower cinnabar field it's what we got. It's everything. Everything we've inherited, all of our early childhood things, all the maternal stress, any tendencies, things like cancer that just like show up, all occur through Jing. There are outer essentials as well. The mouth and nose, 1, 2, 3 openings. They are the gates through which spirit and breath come and go. During the practice, you harmonize respiration with your nose, seal the breath with your tongue, and close the cavity. So you go like this and breathe. If you add a smile to your face, you're doing the inner smile. And if you're from a culture or if you have a preference not to smile, that's cool. Just signal what smile might be. Kidneys in the heart. The kidneys pertain to water and are yin, but the infant, so the spiritual child, this alchemical birth thing, pertains to yang. The heart pertains to fire and yang, but the maid pertains to yin. What is the reason? There is yin within yang and yang within yin, and we have that saying, right, that anything darkness has light and lightness has dark. But we have to remember, none of this is based on morality. It's all just based on observation. The clouds from the top of the mountain, the moon towards the heart of the waves. I mean, they're just so beautiful. The gate of the mysterious female is called the root of heaven and earth. That's the gate you think. Unceasing and continuous, its operation never wears out. So inner alchemy is a literal way on the inside of reflecting what humans would do externally, going up to mountaintops, getting herbs, cooking the herbs, doing witchy things. You can also direct it inside. And the inner alchemy that's directed internally, anything that I put in this is inherently Tao. So you could go to the top of a mountain and do all kinds of things. You could also hang out here. I wonder if I can give us a background here. Can I do that? Maybe not. Oh well. I was going to give us a background of the Nijing 2, which is the chart of the inner landscape. You can, I have free downloads in my link tree. You like my area? Thank you. If your mom dies before you're 35, you might move to a mountain and learn some shit. Nice. You could exist where you are. Take a breath in through your nose and out of your mouth. And notice that there's sound happening. So these three treasures, Jing, Qi, and Shen, belly, heart, head, finite. That's all we have. Infinite. Thoughts, consciousness, infinite. Stuff we're really doing here on planet Earth. So this is invention. It's also having a family. It's going to school. It's having a garden. Oh, it was nice to see you too, Billy J. Thanks for stopping by. This is a piece of petrified bog, actual bog. I'm a bog witch, so it made me very happy to receive it. Isn't that cool? Bogs have the ability to create humans as mummies without any intervention. B-O-G, bog. Hi, Darla. Hi. Hi, this is Darla. Come. How are you, Miss Ma'am? Come here. Okay, she doesn't want to come here. Bog people in Europe. Humans are very bog. Like, I feel like we come from bog and then we become log. Bog and then log. Breath control is the creation and transformation. It doesn't only stop momentary errant thoughts, it directly empties the transmigration of thought thousands of eons. Therefore, one breath is equivalent to 1 year in human time and 100 years in the long night of the 9 paths to reincarnation. The 9 paths of reincarnation. There is a 9 mountain pass at the top of the Nijing 2. This is a color version. So this is called the 9 mountain pass. Do you see that little hole there? You could think about that like the split between your right brain and left brain. And do you see how this is backwards when you look at it? That matters. Even though, look at that, it's a whole human. So here's the maiden, there's the child on the bridge, there's the bog. This is your uterus, if you have a uterus. Hi, that's my cat. So the 9 mountain peak, that's the homunculus of the brain. It's the exterior of our sensory motor cortex. Yes, ma'am. What would you like? Oh, she tickled me. What do you need? Ma'am, that says Katie, not Kitty. That does not say Kitty. What do you think? She doesn't like it. There's a strange sound that I didn't make. also contemplate arousal or any kind of rise in energy as inherently neutral or attached to the big O. And so emotional alchemy as being a way to become more attuned to how your body responds in the organs themselves. So if you experience alexithymia, which I do as well, and that's the having a difficult time naming emotions, you might be able to describe the feeling. Choppy, smooth, static, windy, stormy, words like that. And then where, maybe it's up here, maybe it's down there. So you have a difficult time naming emotions. I know very few humans who have experienced childhood trauma who don't. It's very common also, I am told, with autistic experiences. And also, we might not respond as one would contemplate. So it takes you a while to process. I'm gonna start closing this down just so that I can go eat. You can feel others' emotions and can describe them. One of the things is SPED teachers help the students attach words to feelings. Yep. SPED is special ed, by the way, in case anybody's unaware. Hard when you're also on the spectrum, sad, mad, and scared, help them get out of uncomfortable situations. Yep. I might come on later with just sound and something for you to look at. That's not me. But first I need to eat. Thank you for being here tonight. I will be back and we'll do more. Going to head out also. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for 7,000 likes. Soon I will get to 10,000 and then I don't know what'll happen. Something. I'll see you soon. I'm gonna post this on my, this will probably go on Patreon, but the sound, some of the sound will go on YouTube. And yeah, so we'll have some fun. I'll see you soon. Bye.